Natural gas is a low-carbon fuel, having an emission factor, that is the amount of carbon dioxide emitted per unit of energy produced, around 30% and 50% less than oil and coal respectively. Despite the fact that the energy system in Africa needs to take a resolute pathway towards the use of renewable energy, with massive repowering and rewiring actions, other energy resources need to be considered in order to ensure a reliable, affordable and secure energy system that can promote a competitive industry prone to introduce the next production revolution, the NPR. In this lecture, you will learn to assess the status of gas industry in Africa, as well as to identify future opportunities to develop a local gas supply chain in the continent that can support the introduction of the NPR. In 2012, natural gas use in Africa was 27 billion cubic meters, a value similar to both the volume that was exported and the volume that was flared. The share of natural gas in the sub-Saharan energy mix is only 4%, compared with 21% globally, despite existing resources and its significant role in neighboring North Africa. Most of natural gas is used for power generation, with a share of 14% in total electricity generation of sub-Saharan Africa. Gas utilization is less relevant in buildings, and productive uses in agriculture and industries include today minor utilization of natural gas. Nigeria is the largest consumer of natural gas, using nearly 60% of the total. However, natural gas represents just 9% of Nigeria's domestic demand. However, in the last 5 years, nearly 30% of world oil and gas discoveries have been made in sub-Saharan Africa, and today, remaining recoverable resources of oil and gas at the current level of production would be sufficient for around 100 and more than 600 years respectively. This means that fossil fuels can give a contribution to the future African energy system if efficient and clean solutions will be considered for their utilization. Africa holds around 52 tera-cubic meters of remaining recoverable conventional natural gas resources, of which 31 are in the sub-Saharan region. Proven gas reserves in sub-Saharan Africa have increased by 80% since 2000 and now stand at 5% of the global total, of which around 70% is in deep water. Recent discoveries are adding new resource holders beyond traditional West African countries, such as Kenya and Uganda in Eastern Africa, and Mozambique and Tanzania with their offshore gas discoveries. As a consequence, production made available to the market is 5 times greater than it was in 2000, mainly from Nigeria, but also from Equatorial Guinea and Angola. The other gas exporting country in sub-Saharan Africa is Mozambique, which exports by pipeline to South Africa. Other countries use their gas resources domestically and include Cameroon, Congo, Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, South Africa and Tanzania. However, to make significant impact with gas industry in Africa, many actions need to be developed, including the building of gas gathering, processing facilities and gas networks. Moreover, it is needed to develop effective markets and pricing to increase the local availability of gas, for power generation or industrial use. This is particularly relevant in future scenarios at 2040 elaborated by the International Energy Agency, where African energy demand is expected to grow by around 80% compared to 2012. Among fossil fuels, demand for natural gas grows the most, with an annual average of nearly 6%. As a consequence, Sub-Saharan Africa is the fourth largest worldwide contribution to incremental gas supply through to 2040, behind the Middle East, China and the United States. In particular, most of gas, around 50%, will be deployed for power generation, in order to ensure backup capacity required in a system with massive penetration of renewables. Almost 20% will be used in industry to support competitiveness of manufacturing and reduction of local pollution. In this scenario of increased importance of natural gas, it is needed to think about solutions that can innovate the whole gas supply chain by promoting efficiency and greening supply into the grid. The production of renewable gas from biomass could make more sustainable gas production in Africa, and other solutions for decarbonization may be found, considering options like hydrogen production and carbon capture. Again, Africa can leapfrog to a more sustainable gas system, finding business models that combine investments in oil and gas sector with ones in renewable energy.